Welcome to part 2 of the National Ceiling Fan Day video. This is going to be something I've never done before, which is I'm going to take you through the house and I'm going to talk about all of the ceiling fans that have been installed in here. So, yeah, I'm just going to do this. I'm not going to show the fans in each room really, I'm just going to talk about what's been in here. So we're starting in the family room. This is not the first place I switched a fan, at least I don't think it was, but we're just going to go in order. So, when we moved in this house, in this family room, there was a 44-inch Corum Venture ceiling fan. It was not quite brushed nickel, but it was silver with real light wood blades, like very, almost white wood looking, with a bowl light kit. And it was a fine fan, but it was just too small for this room. I don't know why they picked a 44-inch. Moved good air, but not adequate, considering this is the only fan on this floor. So like 2 weeks after we moved in, I convinced my parents to let me switch that fan for the one in the office, which was a 52-inch Hunter 5-minute fan, which was entirely too big for that room. That's like a 9x11 room, and it's just too big of a fan. So we did that switch, and that became the second fan in here, was the 52-inch Hunter 5-minute fan, and it did a lot better. I will say it was grossly underpowered. Like, I don't know what was going on at Hunter in the mid-2000s, but it was very underpowered. Like, the Corum almost moved more air than it, and I didn't really like it. My parents didn't really like it, but they understood why a bigger fan would be necessary. We knew we were going to have to buy a new fan. Eventually, one of the pole chains ripped out, and we were like, all right, let's just buy a new one. And that's when we bought this. This is the Hampton Bay Gazebo 2. It's been in here almost 5 years at this point. Will be 5 years in February, and zero issues. It's been a great fan. I picked it out with the help of my mother because, you know, she got to pick it out, but we knew we wanted a white fan. I liked this one because since it's an outdoor rated fan, I figured, okay, it's not going to have flimsy wood blades. It's not going to have, you know, it'll have good sealing, so it won't make a lot of noise. And it's been great. It's a great fan. The only thing about it I don't care for is the light kit. I lobbied hard when we bought this fan that we didn't need a fan with a light kit because we literally never use this light. But my mom especially insisted that we have the light, which, whatever, this fan comes with it anyway, so up it went with the light. We never use it. Like, we could take that light kit off and the fan would look a lot better and we wouldn't miss it, but yeah, I just haven't bothered, and I probably won't because it's whatever. Neither of my parents care. But yeah, so that is the fans that have been in the family room, just 3 of them. Let's move upstairs. Alright, we've moved into the office. This room also hasn't had very many fans. When we first moved in here, it had the 52-inch Hunter 5-minute fan I was talking about a minute ago, which was way too big for this room. The people that lived in here before us clearly were not very good at picking out well-sized fans because they went way too small downstairs and way too big in here. I mean, they picked a big motored fan with big blades and a big light kit, big bowl light. Honestly, that whole fan was ugly. I'm going to be honest, the vent design was just ugly. But that was in here, and, you know, it was too big and just crap, really, that fan was. So that went downstairs, and the second fan in here became the Corum Venture, which stayed for a while until we decided to upgrade the fans in here because we wanted a white one in this room. And that's when we put the Harbor Breeze up, and it's been great ever since. And as you can see by the shape of the room, the 42-inch fits a whole heck of a lot better. 52 fit, but it was like, it hung down to like here, and it was just, the blades, it came out to like here. It was just way too big of a fan. I mean, the indent with this closet, I can turn this one off to show you. Oh, I need to tighten the light kit. It came out to like here. It just looked ridiculous. So we put this one up, and yeah, needless to say, this has been a much better fit for in here, and it blends in with the room because it's white. So, yeah, that is the office. Also 3 fans, not very exciting. Let's move on to the master bedroom. Alright, we're in the master bedroom. This room has had the least amount of fans out of any of the rooms. The first fan in here when we moved in was a 1987 Casablanca Delta 2 in polished brass, with sort of an off-white with sort of cream-colored cane blades. The cane itself was like cream-colored. 50-inch Slumber 3 with a big single light fitter on it. And while that was a great fan, my parents didn't like it because it looked old, and it was. Between the Slumber 3, it was kind of noisy, weirdly enough. It had sort of a hum to it, but between the hang true, which we bought a clip for, I convinced them to, and it being old, and for some reason the previous owners of this house ripped the pull chains out. Don't know why. Eventually, when we upgraded the office fan, we also upgraded this fan. This is a 52-inch, just Hampton Bay hugger thing from Home Depot. Kind of like the Armitage in my room, but it's fine. I think this looks a lot better in here, and the hugger definitely fits a lot better. So, only 2 fans in here, but that's what we have in the master bedroom. Alright, now we're in my bedroom, and this room and the now spare bedroom, which used to be my room, this is where things are going to get interesting, because I did a lot of fans in here. Just for reference, I am only going to talk about the ones that were actually installed, not the ones that were up for a day because I was testing them. Alright, first fan that was in here when we moved in was a 46-inch Hampton Bay Bryant. It's like a modern, ugly, ugly, ugly thing with like an appliance bulb, stupid remote-controlled brush nickel piece of crap. Hated that fan. Swapped it out like 2 weeks after we moved in. Put up a 48-inch polished brass Hunter Summer Breeze with rosewood blades with a big 5-light kit, beveled glass kit with like the single globe in the middle and the 4 on the outside with the 3-way pull. Loved that. That was up here for a while. After that, went up the 42-inch J&P spinner, like the Kmart, just generic white vented spinner thing with a single globe. That was up here for a while because I thought a 42-inch fan would look better, which was wrong. After that, I put up a 52-inch polished brass Hunter Mayfair from like 1989. It was flush mounted with a single globe. Really liked that one. After that was the white 52-inch Hampton Bay St. Clair, which was in the bedroom before. I'll talk about that later, but that went up here for a while. After that was a generic, I think it was labeled Sears, but not turn of the century. It was like a mid-90s. It was a white and polished brass GE vent 5-blade fan with Casablanca Zephyr brackets, or like Delta 2 bracket. No, it was like Zephyr brackets, 5 cane blades with off-white cane with a 3-light fitter, and a filigree sideband with big GE vents. That's the best way I can describe it. I don't know what brand it was. That was up for a long time. I really liked that one. After that one was the 52-inch Hampton Bay Glendale flush-mounted brush nickel. I put that up just because I wanted a newer fan that was a little more modern. After that, I put up a 36-inch CEC Georgian 2 that was new in the box, and I put it up with the light kit that was on the GE vent thing, so you had a brown fan with a white light kit. That looked wonderful. But I always loved the aesthetic of super, super small fans in super big rooms. It was not practical at all, but I had another one I put up in my bedroom, which I'll talk about later, and I thought it would be the coolest install ever, and it lasted like 2 months. So, that was one of my favorite ones. After that, I believe, keep in mind, that one I'm not sure the timing of, but I think it was around that time. After that, I believe I put the GE vent thing back up, but with a single light fitter. I think was what then happened, because I think this directly replaced that. That ended up burning itself out, and I put this Armitage up, and it's been up here ever since. So, that is the office slash, well, it was my office, now it's my bedroom. Let's go to the spare bedroom. Alright, now we're in the spare bedroom. This was my first bedroom when we moved in. Also had quite a few in here. Let's talk about them. First fan that was in here when we moved in was the white Hampton Bay St. Clair that I talked about in the office. That was in here when we moved in. Come to find out, it was customized because they didn't make a flat white St. Clair, and it had rosewood on the other side of the blades, so clearly they painted the blades, and the fan must have been polished brass, and they painted it white. That was in here. The first fan I put up once I started collecting and, we moved in was a 52-inch SMC Emperor, like the later style with the ball and socket canopy. Really liked that one. Then I put up the same 48-inch Summer Breeze that was in the office, but I put it up in here with a single light fitter with a floral globe. That was up for a very long time. I really loved that. After that, I put up a mid-2000s Hunter Passport. I think it was a Passport 3. Had the 4-arm integrated light, or the 4-way integrated light, because it wasn't really arms, with rosewood blades. Really liked that fan. I put it up about the same time as the Glendale because I wanted to have newer fans in here. And so that was up here for a long time, and I really liked that. Very clear quality difference between that and the 5-minute fan that was in the office. I think that Hunter had like the skeletal motor, and the one in the office had like the China motor or something. I don't know. The it had the motor that was silver in this one, not the black motor, and that thing flew. Eventually then, when I put the CEC2 up in the office, I had another CEC Georgian with a different labeled box that was used in box. that I put up in here to match, and I put the antique, or no, it was polished. I put the 5-way beveled glass light that was on the Summer Breeze in my office on this fan in here, and I loved it because you had just this tiny little fan with this giant 5-bulb light kit. It was freaking awesome. Looked so cool with the other one in the other room. Unfortunately, that one had a white light kit, but I love that install so much. Just the whole, you know, tiny fan with a giant light kit in a big room. It was freaking awesome. Probably my favorite install combination I've ever had in here. Although having the Summer Breeze in here and the Mayfair in there was pretty cool because they were up at the same time. After that, I think I put the Passport back up, I believe. I think. And then this replaced that. I put this up because the Passport... I think I just wanted a white fan. I think... excuse me. Because this was still my bedroom by that point, and I think at that point I just wanted a white fan, so I went and bought this because I was done messing with fans. All the fans in the house now are permanent, all the modern fans, so I knew I was just done messing with them. So that's it. We will go to the basement and end the video with the furnace room fans. Alright, and then the final place that we had a fan installed in the house is, of course, the furnace room, which I did for shits and giggles always, but I'll talk about it. First fan that went up in here was a 36-inch View fan, industrial. It was a really crappy industrial with the J. It had like the... It was the J-hook mount. It was installed on that hook. You can see that hook right there. Zoom in on it. It was installed on that hook. Piece of crap fan. It had like the little nut on the bottom. Terrible, terrible fans. They're not good fans at all. But that was up here till it died. Then I put up the... Georgian that was in my bedroom, so the one that had the beveled glass light, not the CEC Georgian 2 that was in, at the time, my office. I put that up here with no light. I think before it even went in my, at the time, bedroom. That was up here. Then I put up the first Alliance, because I had another Alliance that looked just like this, but I put it with the white blades down. That one up here looked identical to this, except it had a different light kit. I think that one was actually labeled NCON, if I remember right, but I could be talking out of my butt. I don't remember. Excuse me. That came down, and for a hot minute I had a Silver Line in here, also on the hook. That thing was insane to have in here. 2004 model Silver Line. Took that down because it hung way too low, and it was just for shits and giggles, basically. And then for years then, there wasn't a fan in here. Probably 2 or 3 years I didn't put a fan in here. And then I had this Alliance that was new in box, and I said, screw it, I'm doing it. So I did it. And yeah, that is this room, and that will conclude this video on all of the ceiling fans that have been installed in my house. Hopefully you all really enjoyed watching this. I hope you all have a great National Ceiling Fan Day. Check out Isaac24.com. If you have any questions, let me know below. And that is it. Peace.